News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Dan Schwartzman. Shipping through the Strait of Hormuz remains curtailed, with transits over the past 24 hours consisting almost exclusively of ships linked to Iran. Several supertankers moved toward the waterway but have yet to make the crossing out of the Persian Gulf, despite a U.S. and Iran ceasefire taking effect this week. The U.S. has said the truce is conditional on Iran unblocking Hormuz. Since Thursday morning, just 9 ships have been observed passing through the strait, with 5 heading out of the Gulf and 4 going in the opposite direction. Ahead of the Pakistan talks, President Trump is making new threats over the Strait of Hormuz. Bloomberg's Tyler Kendall has more on that from Washington.
In a pair of posts on Truth Social yesterday, the president said that Iran better not be charging tolls on ships that are transiting through the waterway, and that Iran is doing a, quote, very poor job when it comes to reopening it. And this is important because, of course, reopening the strait is pivotal to the 2-week agreement, but it is underscoring the potential difficulties ahead for a longer-term agreement, considering that we know one of Iran's top demands is that they want sovereignty over the strait.
That's Bloomberg's Tyler Kendall. As the U.S. and Iran gear up for weekend peace talks in Islamabad, Pakistan, Iran's Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf says in a post on X, 2 measures mutually agreed upon have yet to be implemented and, quote, must be fulfilled before negotiations begin. The 2 measures are a ceasefire in Lebanon and a, quote, release of Iran's blocked assets prior to the commencement of negotiations. Meanwhile, President Trump says that U.S. warships are being reloaded with ammunition to resume strikes on Iran in case peace talks in Pakistan fail. That's according to a New York Post report citing a Friday phone interview with Trump. The American delegation to the talks will be led by Vice President J.D. Vance, who says he hopes for the best.
We're looking forward to the negotiation. I think it's going to be positive. We'll, of course, see, as the President of the United States said, if the Iranians are willing to negotiate in good faith, we're certainly willing to extend the open hand. If they're going to try to play us, then they're going to find that the negotiating team is not that receptive.
Vice President Vance spoke to reporters before boarding his plane to Pakistan. Direct talks between Israel and Lebanon, set for next week in Washington, will be preparatory at the ambassador level. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Thursday that the negotiations would be focused on disarming Hezbollah. Lebanese officials have said they want a temporary ceasefire before talks would start. That's according to mediators. Netanyahu, though, said Thursday that there is no ceasefire in Lebanon, but Israel would limit attacks after Netanyahu was asked by President Trump to scale back its assault as not to damage talks between the U.S. and Iran, according to people familiar with the matter. The Consumer Price Index rose 0.9% from February, the most in nearly 4 years, in large part due to the sharp increase in gas prices tied to the conflict in the Middle East. Bond traders held on to wagers that the Fed will lower interest rates once this year on the data showing inflation quickened in March. Interest rate swaps showed traders pricing in a roughly 1 in 4 chance of a quarter-point rate cut this year, slightly lower than before the data. Meanwhile, U.S. consumer sentiment fell to a record low due to increasing worries about mounting inflation caused by the Iran war. Consumers expect prices to rise at an annual rate of 4.8% over the next year and see costs rising at an annual rate of 3.4% over the next 5 to 10 years. The preliminary April sentiment index slumped to 47.6 from 53.3 in March, according to the University of Michigan data out Friday. That was below all but one estimate in a Bloomberg survey of economists. Joan Shu is director of Michigan's consumer surveys.
Consumers are loud and clear that they are extremely frustrated by the persistence of high prices and their challenges with their cost of living. They were already feeling stretched in 2025, and with this 25% increase in gas prices, they're feeling stretched even more.
The University of Michigan's Joan Shu speaking to Bloomberg. The current conditions gauge slid to a record low of 50.1 in April, while the expectations index declined to the weakest since 1980. Consumers' perceptions of their current financial situation matched the worst since 2009. Artemis 2 is expected to splash down in the Pacific Ocean near San Diego at around 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time after the 4 astronauts aboard NASA's lunar mission journeyed farther beyond their home planet than any humans before them. The re-entry process will subject the Orion capsule to a firestorm reaching 5,000 degrees, with the astronauts being kept cool in pressurized flight suits. We check markets all day long here on Bloomberg. Markets still mixed. The Dow down around 2/3%. The S&P 500 is down around 0.2%. The Nasdaq is up close to 0.2%. The 10-year Treasury yield is at 4.320%. The 2-year yield is at 3.805%. President Trump praising Palantir technology in a post on Truth Social, saying it has, quote, proven to have great warfighting capabilities and equipment. Just ask the enemy. Palantir shares pared their decline to 2.5% after Trump's post. Shares had been down as much as 6%. It's a three-way tie atop the leaderboard at the Masters in round 2, with Sam Burns, Justin Rose, and defending champion Rory McIlroy all at 5 under. Wyndham Clark right behind them at 4 under. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Dan Schwartzman, and this is Bloomberg.